today in Woburn. And today we have some guests with us who are going to give us an update about what we're all facing here in town. We've got Mayor Scott Galvin, who's been kind enough to do regular weekly updates with us. And we have Representative Michelle Sicolo, as well as Representative Rich Haggerty. And then please stay on to the end because we have a very special guest, Jenna Francis, who's launched an incredible community program that's got an unbelievable response from all of us around town. And we want to make sure that no one misses the opportunity to participate in that. So she's going to join us for that. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me, and welcome Scott.
Hi, Samantha.
Scott, first and foremost, we know that your daughter tested positive and that you have been home with family. Before anything else, we want to check in on you, see how you and your family are doing.
So my family's doing great. Thanks for asking. And, my daughter has mild symptoms, so we're lucky. From my perspective, just means I've got to stay close to the house and do more telecommuting, which I've been doing. Stay in touch with the office, working on the budget, and that's where we are now. So it's a minor sacrifice, and we're lucky to have each other and be able to depend on each other, and we're good friends in the community, like everybody. It's a nice feeling.
Right. Well, thank you so much for giving us an update. We'll continue to think of you and the family and make sure send good healing thoughts your way and get everybody back to normal as soon as we can reasonably do that. And we thank you for setting a wonderful example for us and, taking this in your home and in your kitchen when we know that there's a lot of busy and important work to be done. And we appreciate you doing that on the phone and with video. So
the budget's a big thing that we're working on now. And I just had a conference with Matt Crowley and his team about, how we're going to work the budget. We've been talking about this, so we'll go into other things, but, Rich and I talked about the issues we're having with revenues and how we're going to try to fill those revenue gaps. And, that's what we're working on now. And, there's a school committee meeting tomorrow night, which I'll probably just jump on quickly to tell them where we are and some of they know some of the hurdles we face, and we're going to have to try, our best to give them, some of the tools they need to succeed. And that's what we're working on now.
Well, we appreciate that. We know this is not easy. I thought it might be helpful to just spend 1 minute. I don't want to go into a lot of detail on the budget, but I think people don't really all understand the impact of commercial revenue loss. Right. I think a lot of people are, hey, I'm paying my property tax. Maybe I'm paying it in June, but I'm still paying it. I'm paying my excise taxes. They don't necessarily understand the amount of our budget that has been disrupted based on business or commercial revenue. Can you just give people a sense of that?
Yeah. So there's generally there's three sources of revenue we get. One is from real estate taxes. The other is from the local receipts. And the third is from the state, where they give us the unrestricted local aid. The real estate taxes, we don't think there'll be any issues with this year because your homes are assessed, and commercial and residential homes are assessed as of January 1st of the year we're in right now, 2020. So that's when you're locked in for your values. So things were going really well at that time. So we don't anticipate there being a problem with our tax levy and the revenues we get from the biggest source of revenue. Provided people are able to pay, which some won't, but we'll eventually get that money. There may be a little bit of a lag, but we'll get it. The next level is from the state, and that's about from us. It's a decent amount of our money. I think we get $6 million in unrestricted aid, thereabouts. So that may be slightly impacted. We talked about that with Rich and Michelle. I don't know how what they're going to be able to do going forward. That we anticipate, like us, they're going to have some problems. So, we're hoping for the best, but we understand the situation that they're in, just like we are. So we wouldn't be surprised if we get hit a little bit there. That's not going to kill us, but there will be some revenue shortage. The big area that we're really concerned about is the local receipts, and those can range anywhere from 13 to 15 million a year. We generally estimate about 15, but we probably will take a hit of about $5 million, which is a massive hole for us, in our budget. We're talking about meals tax, hotel, motel, excise, interest on our investments, and we probably between those areas alone, we're going to lose over $5 million in our budgetary revenue, which we use. You've got your receipts and then you have your expenditures. So if you're losing $5 million, it makes it really tough to fill that gap. And everybody says, well, just use your free cash, use your free cash. And it's not that easy because when, if the budget goes up and you're using free cash, if the same revenues don't come in the following year, you're going to be doubly in the hole. But we're hopeful that the receipts will come back. Will they come back in a year? I don't know. But we're hopeful that within 18 months to 24 months, we'll be back. That money will come back. So, it does help that we do have some reserves, but you can't, there are other uses for those reserves to carry us with our cash flow because, we talked at the beginning, some residents won't be able to pay their real estate taxes. And if you don't have that revenue coming in, you have to rely on your cash, which we have through our reserves, and that will carry us when people aren't able to pay their taxes. We'll be able to use that. So we're in a strong position, and that's because we've done the right things over the years. Since Rich was on the city council, we worked hand in hand to make sure that we had a solid local government finance situation. That's what we have. But still, when you're talking about losing those revenues in 1 year, it's a pretty big blow. But
yeah, thank you for that. I know we had some pretty big capital expenditures planning for fire department renovations and things. Do we expect an impact on that? I know we've talked a little bit about potential school budget impact.
Yeah, well, with the capital, I think we definitely plan on going ahead with the fire station, and Rich might give us an update late, and maybe when you get him on, he's giving us an update of where we are with the Article 97. But the rates, one silver lining, as long as it stays that way in this negativity, is that we think rates might stay low for a while, and that will help us, with the ultimate, our debt service of the fire station. But we're excited about that. We still anticipate the first shovel going in the ground in July, and then the construction will start in January. So all things being equal, we're really excited about that. And we think that over the long term, the debt costs will be more favorable to us than they would have been, had this unfortunate incident not happened.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think people will be relieved to hear that. We know there's difficult decisions ahead. The good news is we are in a fairly stable position financially, be able to weather it perhaps better than some other
Yes.
towns. But we'll still have to make difficult decisions. And I thank you for your transparency and for all those who are helping us try and stay informed of the kinds of decisions we're going to have to be making.
Good. Thanks, Samantha.
Yeah, thank you. Why don't we transition, Rich, why don't we talk about that since Scott brought it up? Let's talk a little bit about the Article 97 and finding anything there that you want to jump on and give us.
Yeah, so myself and Representative Sokolo and Senator Friedman have been working to push through a piece of legislation that would essentially swap the Article 97 designation, which is a conservation designation, from a segment of Forest Park over to the Wyman Herald School site where the farm stand was. That will allow the city, of course, to go forward with the construction of the fire station. So that's been moved out of the municipalities committee. It's currently in steering and policy. I spoke with the Speaker's office on Friday on it, and we're pushing hard. And I know Representative Sokolo is as well. And we've been in communication with the mayor's office to make sure that we've got everything we need, and we feel pretty good that's going to be hopefully completed and passed and signed by the governor sometime in the next 30 days.
Great, thank you so much. Michelle, I'd love to ask you a little bit. We've seen some coverage of some, protests and some coverage of people who are responding to, I imagine, a combination of wanting to get back to work, the mandate to wear masks, and some other things. What are you seeing from a, state standpoint in that regard?
Well, those are good questions. Just last week on Friday, the governor created a mandate for mask wearing, which in the past, I think on April 10th, it had been an advisory for facial coverings. But he was careful to say that it can be a homemade type mask, a bandana, a piece of cloth, anything that you can tie around your face. But it is mandatory, and it does come with the possibility of fines if you don't follow it. And this is extends to all employees inside of shops, retail outlets, grocery stores that are still operating. When you're using transit, you're required to cover your face in public. And he went as far as saying that it's suggested that you may want to also cover when you're walking or jogging if you're going to be coming into contact with other people. If you're, going out early in the morning when you're not passing other joggers, and it may be okay, but he was a little vague in that area. It extends to everyone over the age of 2. And they have, they're in the process of developing better guidance on what to do for children between ages 2 and 5, because you can imagine it's pretty hard to get small children to keep that on their face all the time. So yes, I think the thinking is that when we start to reopen the economy, we're going to have to be wearing masks when we're in groups or in public. So we might as well get used to it now and have this in place. So people may have read that he also created a task force of 17 people that Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito and Secretary Mike Keneally chair. And it's a wide range of people with different skills on the task force to evaluate the different conditions that are going to be necessary to reopen. I don't think we can predict yet on May 18th. So right now the stay-at-home order extends to May 18th. And I think before then we'll start to hear a plan, because the task force was only given 3 weeks to develop that plan. So it has to be ready by May 18th. And then we'll start to see a slow-phased reopening, not everything at once. There's going to be benchmarks and health indicators that are going to really inform whether or not certain areas of the economy can open up or not. And I think that's what they're discussing now in the working group, in that task force.
Great. Thank you for that update. I think it's always changing and updating, and I appreciate all the, keeping us posted on how things progress. There was also some additional funding, I believe, that's passed everything in terms of CARES Act extensions to help small businesses. Where are we in terms of our ability to distribute that at a state level? And has anything changed from the application process in the first wave?
I think the application process is fairly similar, and we are this is the federal program, so it's the SBA that's rolling out those funds, but it's through your local banks. And the second round of funding expanded sort of the eligibility to more of the smaller banks and required that some of that money go to women and minority-owned businesses. So they broke it down into different categories so that you should really see the small businesses that might have had trouble before accessing the funds to get access to it. So we are absolutely seeing companies being approved for these loans now, but we also heard in a sort of cautionary way that based on the demand, it may only be about a week or 10 days that this round of funding would be available. So we really need to urge people, if you haven't gotten your application in yet, go see your local bank that is paired up with the SBA and able to do SBA loans and get your application. And the application isn't terribly onerous. They did also reopen so the payroll protection program, the PPP, was reopened, but also the EIDL, the emergency injury disaster loan. That one also has the ability to get an advance of up to $10,000 within supposedly 3 days. So that's a short initial funding that gets out the door while you're pending, the rest of the application is pending. So they also have bridge loans and debt forgiveness and a whole series of other things that are in the CARES Act.
Great, thank you so much. And do you know if folks had applied initially but had not heard back, or money had run out before they had secured those loans, are they automatically in the second wave, or should they be contacting their financial institutions to make sure that they're in the pool?
They should definitely contact their financial institutions. So the EIDL application went directly through the SBA, but the PPPs are through the local banks. And a lot of the banks actually had to develop their own software systems and signing process to be able to manage all of the loan requests they were getting. And some of the banks were pretty late getting their own format and program policies ready and out the door. So I think this is a time to be vigilant and to stay on top of your financial advisor and contacting your bank regularly and not waiting to see if someone gets in touch with you. Absolutely, stay on it.
Great. Excellent, I appreciate that. Anything else that you would like to add to the community know that's happening?
I would just say that there's an awful lot of complexity in the unemployment program, both the regular unemployment and the pandemic unemployment, and there's a third category that's still being developed. And I've had a lot of constituents with difficulty accessing their benefits, and I think we've been able to sort of help them get to a person who will review their case, especially in situations where you have blended income, maybe from W-2 employment, but also self-employment. Those cases get a little bit more complicated, and sometimes if you have, for instance, out-of-state employment, so you haven't been in Massachusetts for that long, when they look back to see what you're eligible for, they have to look at the data from both states, and those are the types of cases that are getting hung up. And I really urge people to get in touch with my office or Rich's office, because we can help with accessing the right people to sort of help those funds flow.
Great. Thank you so much. Rich, anything that you'd like to add from your side?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, great. Thank you. We appreciate it. Scott, we're glad to hear that you and your daughter and family are doing well right now. We'll continue to keep that. Anything else that you'd like to update us on from a Woburn standpoint before we bring Jenna on?
No, I'd like to hit Jenna. I think I've said enough, and it's good to we'll look forward to talking to you next week, but I'll listen to what Jenna has to say.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Jenna, welcome. I'm very excited.
Hi, thank you.
To have you on board. So as a mother of a senior in high school, I'm personally very appreciative of the work that you and everyone is doing to recognize those students and celebrate them in maybe unusual ways, but equally exciting ways. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about the Adopt a Senior program?
Sure. So, I know we've all given up a lot right now, staying home, and some people have lost their jobs, and we've lost activities and functions and concerts, and our seniors have lost probably, the traditional graduation and prom and their last days in the school building and their last weeks with their favorite teachers and their friends that they may not see, ever again. And so I had just heard about this idea of Adopt a Senior from other communities. And I thought we could try it in Woburn. So I just created a Facebook page, Adopt a Woburn Senior Class of 2020. And it was it even a week ago, Samantha, that I started?
I don't know. It seems like yesterday, Jenna.
We have over 720 members. I think we have somewhere around 300 seniors that have been adopted. And we're really, all of the community has really jumped in. And I've got a couple of other ladies that have done so much work creating and updating spreadsheets and finding out about seniors whose parents didn't post about them, because as you and I both have students that are not at the high school, right? So we know that there are a lot of kids at the high school, but there also are a lot of homeschooled kids and kids at various Vokes and kids at private schools and charter schools and out of district transfers. So everybody is working together to try to get in touch with as many seniors, whatever their schooling has been, as possible, so that nobody's left out. And we're reaching out to, English language learning families, and just trying to make it as inclusive as possible. And the object, I guess I didn't say specifically what it is. The idea is just to make a little gift basket or something for each senior with whatever in it. It could be a basket full of candy, or it could be t-shirts or college swag or gift cards, or, whatever you feel like making.
It's such a lovely treat. I have to admit, when I mentioned it to my son, I thought, I'll be honest, I'm going to get the eye roll, because I thought, how does this stand up to, this isn't, he was so excited. And, everyone that I've seen has been so excited and appreciative, truly appreciative of just the thought the community is giving. We do have over 300 students have been adopted. I don't know. I'm guessing there's probably another 50 that we'll get over the course of, as we get the word out there, but it's been like wildfire spreading. Thank you for doing that. The other thing that I want to point out too is that the group has also spurred some other wonderful things. Tasha Studio is offering free cap and gown pictures for our students, so seniors can take advantage of that. And I called Chris the other day to set it up. He's just being wonderful. There's ways to support our local businesses like Impress Graphics. Even though they're not open, they can do some one-off side things and arrange for contactless discovery. I've had some personalized hats done. I've seen blankets and mugs and photographers and making signs. All kinds of things. So
Trey Mezzo Restaurant also said they're going to give a gift card to every basket for every senior.
Oh my goodness, isn't that amazing?
Awesome. Yeah.
Just think about this. This is really incredible. So thank you for spearheading that. The one thing I know you, as well as many people involved, have really wanted to make sure that every student who wants to participate is included, And we recognize that not every student is on Facebook or has a parent. We've had many friends and family nominating people and making sure. But for those who might not be on Facebook or have access to it, who hear about it through the show or other means, how can they participate in the program?
That's a good question. I mean, because most of it's being organized on Facebook, I would say if people know somebody that is on Facebook, that would be a good way just to at least get the name out there. Or, I mean, people can email me. I can give you my email if you want. It's Jenna, Jenna, M, like Mary, S, Sam, and F, Frank, Jenna MSF@gmail.com. And then I can just post their name on Facebook for them.
Great. Thank you so much. That's so generous for you to do that. I've had a blast making baskets for the 2 seniors that I've adopted. It has been so much fun trying to think of things that will be enjoyable. One of the things, Jenna, I then make for those who have either adopted people or are looking to adopt people, there still will be students. A lot of them have been taken, but every day a few more get added. Yeah. So please, don't be discouraged. Let people know you want to participate. There's students who can still use your help. And you've done a great job of, there's no specific deadline. There's no specific financial amount. Like, this is just a way to show our community that we care, make this your own, do what feels right to you. And we'll have a whole bunch of students who will be super appreciative. I've even seen somebody spawn a college seniors of Woburn, right? Facebook group based on how much people want to help. So thank you so much for inspiring all of us and giving us something tangible that we can do to be helpful to each other and recognize. I also saw for those, there was a lot of helicopters and siren sounds earlier today because they were recognizing Leahy Hospital, and there was sort of a parade going by to celebrate the people who are working there, the healthcare workers, of course, but also the security guards, the cafeteria staff, and everybody who's keeping that running. And I think a couple days ago, Winchester Hospital had something similar. So in these times when it's difficult for us to feel in control, when there's so much that we can't do, it's great to have some things that we can do that are positive for each other.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much to all of our guests. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in for this episode. If you have trouble finding Jenna or Facebook or anything, please do reach out to us. We will make sure to connect you. We want every student to feel the love and appreciation from our community. And thank you to our representatives and to our mayor who continue to advocate for Woburn in times that are challenging, but make themselves available to answer all of our questions and to keep being as transparent as possible with us as a community about what we have going on. Please take care of each other, and thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, Samantha.
Thanks, Samantha.
Thanks, Samantha. Bye.
Nice to be on. Bye-bye.